Hi, I'm Liv and today we're going to do my belated December reading wrap up. I read a decent chunk of books this month. I've got 3 physical and the rest are all on my Kindle, and I just wanted to talk about them. There are a couple Christmas reads, of course, but there was also some reads that I was just really excited for this year, and I just want to do my final wrap up of 2024. I have decided to use my ring light today. I literally never use this ever, so let me know about lighting down below if you like it or not, or if you prefer the windowsill lighting. I kind of love this lighting and it looks way better. You can see everything better when I use my ring light. I'm gonna start off with whatever is the first book I read. I've got, by the way, my new book goals are all set up on here, so I've laid it all out, I've drawn it all myself, so I've got all that planned. So the first book I read this month was actually my best book of the December month. I did best books of each month. I didn't actually run you through them, so I might do it again this year and then let you know what my best books of every month were by the end of 2025. That's crazy to say, 2025. But my best book of December was this book. So this is The Nightingale. This is my battered copy. By that I mean I have so many sticky notes in here with all my opinions all the way through this book, on thoughts that I had and things that I just couldn't not say to somebody, so I wrote it down and just put them in the book. Literally, there's a section where I put, I'm gonna start crying, this is too emotional. I really love this book. So this is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. If you have watched me before, you will know that I hyped this book up so much. I did the entire 2024 wrap-up videos. It was in my best books and it was in my big 2024 whole tier ranking video, which I will link down below if you want to see that video, because I actually really enjoyed filming that video. But this book is so good. So this book, we follow our main 2 characters. It's dual perspective and it's also in 2 timelines. So in the now, we get the perspectives from this elderly woman, and she is one of the 2 sisters. And then in the past, we get the perspective from World War II France, and this is when it was Nazi-occupied France. And we have these 2 sisters called Vivian and Isabel. Is it Vivian or is it Vivet? Wait, what is it? Oh, Vianne and Isabel, sorry. So Vianne lives away from Paris, and she has a quiet life with her husband and her daughter. She's a next door neighbour who has a daughter herself. And then we have Isabel, who lives in Paris with her dad, and her dad just doesn't like her. She's very much a firecracker. She'll say what she wants to say. She's very much like, you know, she can't be tamed. She will speak up when she wants to. And she ends up getting sent away by her dad because they know that the Nazis are coming to Paris. They're taking it over first, and then they're going to take over the rest of France. In this book, we see Vianne taking Isabel, and Isabel really rebel against the Nazis and really wants to do something to go against them. She joins resistance groups, and Vianne can't deal with it because she's got a daughter to look after. Her husband gets sent away to war, and she has to be the provider of the family. She is the sole provider, and if something happened to her, what's going to happen to her daughter? It's a really good book. It tests morals. I mean, one of the neighbours that is Vianne's best mate is a Jewish woman, and so that all happens, and she has to move in with a Nazi because the Nazis want to live in France, but where they're going to live with French residents because they are the people living in the houses, and you either move out or you live with a Nazi. Where else is Vianne going to go? Isabel is very much somebody who wants to do the right thing no matter what, so she is doing this, that and the other, barely caring about herself really. She has little regard for her own health and her own safety. She is just so adamant she wants to help people. It's really good. It's a book that really tests morals, and it's a book of 2 sisters who live terrible lives in in France, in a time in which life is just so hard. It's a historical fiction, very emotional, beautiful book, and it is really a raw book that will make you think about it forever. I gave this a 5-star. I really loved it, and it's made me want to read more by Kristen Hanna. Her writing skills were of another world. Her skills with writing and her descriptions, her poeticness, it was really beautiful. It really painted a picture. When I think about this book, I don't think of words, I think of actual scenes in my head that I pictured, and that is something that is very rare with writers for me. So massively, highly recommend this. Next, oh, I didn't pick this one up. I do have a physical copy of this. So the next one is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I finished this month. It was amazing. This book I gave a 4.5 star, and I just thought it was really sweet. So this book, we follow two main characters. We have Jeannie and Logan. And Jeannie is new to this town, and Logan's kind of like, he's pitied by everybody. Everyone's kind of like, oh, poor Logan, because of something that Jeannie doesn't know what it's about. And Logan hates it. He just wants to be seen as Logan, not as like poor Logan. They have this spark. It's all set in like this nosy neighbour sort of town. All the neighbours like whisper to each other and gossip. It's so funny. And it is this like series. It kind of is meant to mimic the Gilmore Girls Stars Hollow, if you know what that is, and it really does. It has that vibe, but it doesn't copy anything. But it was really good. It was really cute. I've put here amazingly thought out characters, cute neighbourhood. I loved the town gossip. She has a cat, which is such a funny aspect. It's like a really funny part of the story, and the backstories of both characters added so much depth. These two characters have been through stuff, and that is why they cared for each other. So we've got Logan, who's had something happen in his past that he doesn't want to tell Jeannie about because he's embarrassed and everyone pities him because of it. Something that happened with a girl. And we've got Jeannie, who was trying to run away from her life because this is revealed in literally the first few pages, so I can tell you, she ends up finding her boss at work dead at the desk, and she has this like moment of, what am I doing? I'm in a dead-end job that I don't care about. I need to do what I want to do. And so she has this kind of like midlife crisis sort of thing, but like in the start of her 20s. It's really good, and I really liked it. Next is a thriller. This was The Housemaid's Wedding by Frida McFadden. I'd say this book was, it was a choice. I don't think this book was necessary. I don't think it needed to even exist. This book, we watched Enzo and Millie get married, but it wasn't really a marriage. The book itself looks like it's going to be a great book. It gives like vibes of like, oh, this is going to be a great thriller, and it's a really captivating like cover. The book does not give anything like the cover did. Enzo and Millie actually get eloped in this book. Not really a wedding then, is it? It's just watching them get eloped. It was very unnecessary. The plotline was very, very lukewarm. I didn't quite understand why we had such like a big plotline if we literally had like less than 100 pages. It didn't make sense for this plotline to exist. Basically, we have Millie think that she's being watched. Somebody's making it out that they're watching her and the family, her and Enzo. And she's like trying to look after him but doesn't want to tell him the truth because she doesn't want him to worry. But at the same time, like, you know, if you know you've got a target on your back, wouldn't you tell the partner that you usually deal with all these problems with, instead of hiding it from him? That's what didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense for the characters, like, to have these choices. It just honestly felt like a book that didn't need to be made. Next, I read Love Like Farms, and again, I loved this book. All my books have sticky notes in them because I like to get my thoughts out on, like, when I'm reading. This book was really good. I actually think that this book was massively underrated. I literally heard nobody talk about this book, and I just thought it was really, really good. It's one of my favourite books actually of the year. So this book, we follow Luca, and we follow our other main character, Stella. Stella is our main character that we follow throughout. It's a first person perspective from her point of view, and she has this best friend Luca, and they've been friends forever. She's always had a crush on him but never really told him, and they've always been very close. They're very touchy-feely and hugging and all the time. They cuddle up on the sofa together, but nothing's ever happened because they're just best friends, right? She ends up entering their Christmas tree farm, hers, and she's got two other people she runs it with. She enters their Christmas tree farm into a competition, and the person who owns the competition, like, you know, is hosting it, she is a hopeless romantic, and so she pretends that she bought the Christmas tree farm with her boyfriend and that they run it together. She doesn't have a boyfriend, so she ends up asking Luca if he'll pretend whilst this person comes to town to see the Christmas tree farm, and he agrees. She keeps saying, what are we going to do when this ends? How are we going to like break up so the town doesn't think that we've like fallen out? And he keeps deflecting and being like, why do we need to break up? Why do we need to think about that? And it's so like, wait, why? Like, does he have feelings? And because we don't get his perspective, you're constantly like wondering as she is. So it's really good to have it just from one perspective for this book. It's really good. It's a miscommunication book, as in like they've never communicated their feelings until the end of the book, and it's actually really good. Characters were sweet. The family element was great. I liked that. I liked that we had a little bit of depth for both characters, but not too much that we were like really serious. I mean, it is a Christmas book. I put here great storyline and characters, very cozy scenery, small town. I liked the extra storyline. There was an extra storyline that someone kept like messing with the farm, and we thought it was some kids, but then they started to like take it too far. Like they're knocking out the security cameras. They killed off a load of like their trees, like one side of like their farm. They just completely killed their crops somehow. And so like it's getting there with like somebody's trying to destroy their farm. Like what's going on? That was a great storyline. I loved it. I loved Beckett. I loved Luca and Stella. Friends to lovers, fake relationship. There's ice skating, baked goods sections, hot chocolate. I also love there's a little like gay romance hinted at. So the police officer in this town is really protective of Stella, the whole town is, but they also love Luca as well. They're a very close-knit town, and the police officer kind of took Stella under his wing like since she was like born, and he's always looked out for her. But he is gay, and he like has a crush on the pizza owner. There's a pizza chef in the town, and he always like is blushing when he's ordering from him, and she's like, well, when are you two gonna get together? It's just so cute. I loved that we had a character that was portrayed as like, you know, usually masculine, as like also being gay. You know, we have to have these characters who are like really girly that are always gay. Obviously that happens, but there are also really heavily masculine men out there who are also gay, and I just loved that we had that in the book. It actually like made my heart happy. I was just like, oh my god, thank god, finally found a book that has like a real life person who would be gay. I loved it. I next read Nothing Like the Movies, and this was a sequel to the Better Than the Movies book, and I'd say it was definitely a book that wasn't necessary, like it didn't have to be made. This book, we follow Liz and Wes again, and this is the future, and Liz and Wes have broken up, and Wes is trying to Wes is trying to win Liz back. He's got his life together, he wants her back. So in this book, I loved that like Wes's character, like we got to see a lot more of it. We got his perspectives as well, and I thought his character really came through in this book. He was funny, he was charismatic, and he was a great character to follow. Very, very entertaining. I did say it wasn't as good as Better Than the Movies though. Like it really didn't live up to that book, and I'd say that because Liz's character really disappeared. And I did say this in another video that Liz's character in the first book loved rom-coms because that's what she grew up with her mum watching, and then her mum passed away and she's always loved them ever since. This book, she hated like rom-coms because her and Wes broke up, and it just felt weird that like that was something that you and your mum shared, and your mum passed away, and the only thing stopping you from being like a rom-com loving person again is the fact that you broke up with a high school boyfriend. That's the reason. Like, you know, this is a hobby you had with your mum who died. I just felt like it was very unrealistic for her to all of a sudden just like be like, yeah, I don't like rom-coms anymore. It just made no sense. I also said that Liz's little like I hate Wes all the way through was very one note, very annoying. Like Wes was doing his best to win her back, and you'd always have like a little bit of a spark for him. Like, you know, considering it was like a high school relationship, you would have like that little ache in your heart of like, oh, I do miss him in a way, but it never showed any of that. Like it always showed that she was like hating him, and it made no sense. I also said that Liz and Wes getting back together was like the resolve was really not a great resolve. It was okay, but it just felt a bit too like sudden. It was all of a sudden she was obsessed with him again and like, oh my god, Wes, I love you, and it's like, wait, hang on a sec, like last chapter you told him you hated him. It made a little to no sense. So I just wasn't a big fan. I'm very happy I didn't buy that book. I got it on Kindle Limited. Next, I read December Darling by Lauren Asher. Really like that book. It's a Christmas book, and we've got this sister who she's called Catalina. So we've got Catalina, and she once dated this guy, not really dated, like kind of went on a date with him, that she already knew, and he was like friends with her sister. And pretty soon after the date, she realised that he had more of a spark with her sister, and they never got to experience that relationship before she jumped in. So she lets them experience, and they fall in love, and they're getting married. And she kind of feels guilty for it and never really wants to put herself out there to find someone because she feels guilty because of everything. Very nervous, very much like keeps her guard up and doesn't let anyone in. And we meet Luke, who is the ex's friend, and Luke is very charming, very charismatic, and he doesn't understand why Catalina doesn't like him, and it's because she doesn't want to let anybody in. She doesn't think she deserves love. They end up like bonding over making Lego of all things. It's so sweet, and I just thought they were adorable. I ended up giving it a solid 4-star. Really enjoyed it. It's It was really adorable. There was no third act breakup, which I loved. And the funniest thing is that they're both doctors and his last name's Darling, so his name is Dr. Darling. It's just very, very funny. Next we had Cruel Winter with You, which I don't really want to say anything about. I did say in the last video that I did like a wrap up that he just came across as a bit of a stalker, and if this book had like a different tone to it, I could definitely see it being a thriller book of like a stalker, because the way that the male character came onto the female character in this book was just not it. Like over the span of like 10 years he wouldn't stop asking her out and she always said no, so very strange. Not my vibe. Next, I have got a book that I love the film, and this is Coraline. I actually tabbed this because I love Coraline. I read this is by Neil Gaiman, and I just thought it was really good. We had a lot of stuff that was similar to the film, but also a lot that was a lot darker than the film. For instance, I think all of my, which way have I done it? All my grey tabs are different to the film, red are iconic to the film, and green are things I want to remember. And look, I had like so many grey things of like things that were different, and also loads of red and everything. I really liked this book. It was a real fun read, and I actually read it in one afternoon on Christmas. I also read Big Nick Energy, and I really liked this book. I gave it a 4.75. This was a short book. It was a Christmas book. We had our main character Nick, and he ends up putting his foot in it and ends up telling the kids that belong to this single mum about Elf on the Shelf, and she doesn't have the time or the energy or the money to be doing an Elf on the Shelf, and they're like, what's Elf on the Shelf? You never heard of that? And the mum's like, oh my god, shut up, stop saying that. And he's like, oh, Elf on the Shelf comes, you know, every year. And they're like, oh my god, so Elf on the Shelf's coming, great. And she's thinking, oh my god, I don't have time for this. She's already been through a divorce. Her ex-husband is very abusive and he keeps trying to get back in her life, and she is struggling and she doesn't want to deal with this. So Nick realizes what he's done and realizes he put his foot in it, and he decides to be the Elf on the Shelf for them, and he moves the elf around, he does all the treats for them, and he's around every single night. He takes like a 2-hour drive to get to them every night. They end up getting closer and closer together. They're both single parents. Nick had a child when he was 18. They got pregnant by accident. But the mum didn't want to stick around. She said, you can either have the child or I'm going to put it up for adoption. And he said he wanted to be a dad. So he's been a single dad since he was 18 years old, never really dated or done anything, because he's been looking after Connor, his son. And she has only just got out of a relationship a year ago. It'll be her first Christmas properly without him. And Nick is just so sweet. His relationship with the girls is adorable, and he really like cares for them, and you see this throughout the book. I loved Nick anyway. I thought he was a very sweet character. Like, the point of their relationship throughout the book is that they both can show each other that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to like lean on someone for a bit when you need to. And it was just a very sweet book. I thought here it was a short story, about 260 pages. It's on Kindle Unlimited. I got attached to the girls and cared about them so much, and the writing style was amazing. And for only having 260 pages, she was amazing with being able to tell such a detailed storyline, which is about the author. I've said that Nick owns a farm where he sells Christmas trees, which I forgot about, and it was a very good book, and there was also some spicy scenes in it, so if that's what you're looking for, it's a really good one. Next, I've got a book that I ended up DNFing, and this was The Mistletoe Bear. I really hated this book. I skimmed through a lot of it. The spice scenes, the description of the guy were disgusting. I did not like it. Calling something a mushroom didn't really get my brain wanting to picture in anything. No, so that got a 1 star. The final book I read of December was Lost and Lassoed, actually, by Lila Sage. I loved this book. I gave this book a 4.5, and this book was kind of frenemies to lovers. So we've got our main 2 characters, Teddy and Gus. Gus is a single dad. He kind of co-parents with his friend. They're now friends. They didn't really have a relationship at the time. She's gone away to do a lawyer course, and he has to look after Riley on his own. And he's struggling. He's got a lot to do, and he's never had to do all this on his own before, but he won't ask for help until his family say, Gus, you have to ask for help. And so they asked Teddy to be the babysitter. She is always wanting to get on Gus's nerves. She's always taking the mick of him, he takes the mick of her. They're always fighting with each other, and this close proximity gets them like feeling things that they didn't realize they're gonna feel for each other. And they really like each other. It's very spicy, and you see her put down the facade of like, she always tries to give this like sort of personality that's always like quippy and smart with her responses and comes back for people, but she lets it all down when she's around Gus, and she can really relax and be herself and not have to talk. They are comfortable in each other's presence, and it's so sweet. And especially when you know that like Teddy's gone through a lot, she's really struggling in this book. Especially she thinks that Emmy, her best friend who's in book 1, is going off to get married and everything and forgetting about her, and she's thinking that I'm not doing anything with my life. I've literally, all my friends are getting married and having babies and I'm doing nothing. So she's got this like, having this like existential crisis, and she's freaking out about it. And then Gus comes along and he's just like, you don't need to worry about this, like relax. There's also a bit of an age gap, and it's just adorable. It's just really adorable. And one of the best things about it is that Riley and Teddy's like friendship and relationship is so adorable. Riley is the daughter, and they have this like beautiful chemistry between them, this like sweet family-esque sort of relationship, and it's just so adorable. Those are all the books I read in December. I hope you have enjoyed this video. It's very belated December reading wrap up, but I just wanted to get it done and let you guys know what my last books of December were. I will see you guys soon with another video. I think it's going to be on Thursday. I hope you guys have been enjoying the shorts. Subscribe, like, and do all that stuff, and I will see you guys pretty soon. Thank you for watching. Tell me again down below what you think about the camera and like the ring light and everything, and if you like this lighting, tell me down below. I will see you guys soon with another video. Thank you. Bye.